Hello, Earthlings. How are you? Happy New Year. Welcome to 2012. We have arrived. It should be an interesting year. We've heard all the stories, the prophecies, the predictions, all that. Well, we'll see what plays out, won't we? It's now 2nd of January, so we've got a whole year. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of stuff. So let's just jump into it right now with our space weather. Our cosmic weather for today. Spaceweather.com is our first stopping point. Our solar wind is blowing at 382.2 kilometers per second. Our planetary K index, we're at a quiet range at a 1. And the chance of M-class flares are down to 15%. Remember, they were up to 40% last week, so now they're way down. 15% chance, and an X-class flare is minimal, 1% chance that is going to happen. And when the sun sets tonight, go outside and look east for Jupiter and the moon. Two bright heavenly bodies are only 4 degrees apart. Okay. And what we have here, there was a New Year's fireball. The first bright fireball of New Year streaked over the southwestern USA on January 1st at 3:15 Universal Time. It was visible from Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. I was able to see it out my window, reports amateur astronomer Thomas Ashcraft from his rural observatory outside Santa Fe. It was brilliant turquoise blue. Ashcraft operates a combination all-sky camera forward scatter meteor radar system which captured the fireball's light. Click on the image to play the movie, and don't forget to turn up the volume to hear the ghostly radar echo. Alright, well, I'm going to leave that up to you. Spaceweather.com is the place for that information. Now, let's see where we are astrologically. We're up here at the beginning. Our moon is currently in Aries, and it's getting ready to move into Taurus, where it's going to be tomorrow. But at the moment, it's in Aries. Now, Aries is the pioneer. It's the first of the astrological signs when you look at the order. Aries is the ram. It's Mars energy. It's charging forward with new ideas, positive, fresh starts. It's a good way to go for the beginning of the year. That underlying need to want to charge ahead and create and put things in order. So that's where we started off with the moon on the first day and where it is today before it moves into Taurus tomorrow. Our sun is still in Capricorn. So you know the drill. It's an earthly sign dealing with the earthly elements, but the lesson is to look past the physical into the deeper aspects of what's really going on out there in life, but be aware, of what is in front of you. And our moon phase, you can see it's getting closer to that full moon. We're now at 63% full. Probably with another week or so, we should be getting pretty close. Remember, it takes 2 weeks from the time it goes to a new moon all the way up to a full moon. And our screencast, our dream spell for today is a planetary wizard day. White planetary wizard, guided by the wind. Phrase, I perfect in order to enchant, producing receptivity. I seal the output of timelessness with the planetary tone of manifestation. I'm guided by the power of spirit, and again, today is a galactic activation portal day. So it's an extra day where the energies converge with each other, and an opportunity just to kind of really key in a little bit more with that energy available to us. And then, of course, on the Gregorian calendar, it is Monday, January 2nd, 2011. I guess this is a New Year's Day for government agencies, because I believe here in the States, I think the banks are closed, and certainly the Rose Parade is going on today as a celebration of New Year's, which is always a great thing. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you will. It'll be playing all day long. All right, now, first story up for today, for the year. It's going to be about Ron Paul, since tomorrow is the big caucus taking place in Iowa. We're going to be doing a number of Ron Paul stories today to keep you updated with all of that. So the first one here, this was Ron Paul on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace. Let's check this out. Here we go. right. There we go.
Near the top in most recent polls, Congressman Ron Paul, who comes to us from Clute, Texas. Congressman, Happy New Year, and welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you. Same to you, Chris.
4 years ago, you were running for president, and you got 10% of the vote in the Iowa caucuses. As we say in the latest Des Moines Register poll, you're at 22%. Why do you think you are getting so much more traction here in Iowa this time?
Well, it isn't because I've changed my message, because my message has been the same for 30 years, and it's the same as 4 years ago. But the world has changed. The country has changed. I've talked about economic policies for a long time, warned about financial bubbles and the correction that was coming. And that has arrived, and people now are saying the economy is a big deal. Spending is a big deal. The debt is a big deal. This is what I've worked my whole career on trying to warn people about. But also in foreign policy, I get tremendous support on my position, which the other candidates say, oh, it's dangerous, believing in the Constitution that you shouldn't go to war unless you declare the war. So this is the kind of thing that people come around, they're tired of the wars. 70% of the American people want us out of Afghanistan. It's bankrupting us. We spent $4 trillion that went into debt in these last 10 years. And I'm deeply, concerned about civil liberties. So these issues strike a chord with the people, and I think that is the reason. More so now than even 4 years ago, but a lot more than maybe 20 or 30 years ago, because right now the evidence is loud and clear that government is failing in what they pretend they are going to do for us, and that's why the people are looking for different answers.
On the other hand, Congressman, in the latest Des Moines Register poll in those final 2 days, it shows some evidence of a slide, and in fact, Santorum passes you and you fall into third. What can you do about that slide, sir?
Well, I think the die has been cast, and the ups and downs of the other candidates has been characteristics. They come and they go, and they all belong to the status quo. The one thing is the people who make a commitment to the campaign for liberty and the Constitution, limited government, and going after the Fed, once they put this all together, how liberty and free markets and a sound foreign policy come together, they don't desert. So our numbers aren't going to go down. The number of people, they're not going to leave us as they have on the other ones. They come and they go. So I think our numbers will continue to grow even these last couple of days, and the caucuses are going to treat us well. But the real test is going to be on Tuesday night, so we'll have to wait and see how it turns out.
Not surprisingly, Congressman, with your new strong standing in the polls has come new scrutiny, especially about some newsletters that came out under your name in the 80s and 90s in which there were comments made that were, quite frankly, racist and homophobic. Now, you say that you were the publisher of those newsletters, not the editor, and so you didn't know everything that was in them. But I want to ask you about a book that you wrote back in 1987 called Freedom Under Siege, and I want to ask you about some of the comments in that. In that book, you wrote this: the individual suffering from AIDS certainly is a victim, frequently a victim of his own lifestyle, but this same individual victimizes innocent citizens by forcing them to pay for his care. Question, Congressman, do you still feel that same way?
Well, I don't know how you can change science. I mean, sexually transmitted diseases are caused by sexual activity, and when it's promiscuous, it spreads diseases. That's been known, about 400 or 500 years on somehow how these diseases are spread. So if a fault comes of people because of their personal behavior, in a free society, people do dumb things, but it isn't to be placed as a burden on other people, innocent people. Why should they have to pay for the consequences? That's a sort of a nationalistic or socialistic attitude. But in a free society, people are allowed to act the way they want, but they're responsible for their actions.
Let me just break in
for a minute, They should be rewarded. Sir. They should be.
Congressman, do you think that someone who suffers from AIDS should not be entitled to health insurance as opposed to, let's say, somebody who has a heterosexually transmitted disease?
No, I never said that. I'm just saying that people...
Well, when you talk about that they victimize other people by making us pay for them, what do you mean, sir?
Well, it depends on what the insurance company does. They're the ones who determine that, but there shouldn't be a law that says they're denied that. There's no way. I mean, the market should handle this. People who are pregnant 9 months, they can't go in and buy insurance. So insurance, there's supposed to be insurance. So if if people are smokers, don't they have to pay more? Sometimes you get your insurance cheaper if you're a non-smoker. That's all I'm talking about, and let the market sort this out and let insurance sort this out, but not having dictates by the government and saying thou shalt or thou must do this and your behavior doesn't matter. You know, if you drink too much and you go out and you do harm to somebody, you have to suffer the consequences. It's the same way with health matters. You don't have a right to demand that somebody else take care of you because of your habits. But that doesn't mean that you don't have laws.
Let me just interrupt, and I'm sorry, but we have limited time, and we want to get to the other two candidates as well. I want to ask you about one other thing that you wrote in your book back in 1987 about sexual harassment in the workplace. You wrote this: this is about the victims of sexual harassment, why don't they quit once the so-called harassment starts? Obviously, the morals of the harasser cannot be defended, but how can the harassee escape some responsibility for the problem? You said that sexual harassment should not be a violation of someone's employment rights.
Well, the whole thing is you have to get a better definition of sexual harassment. If it's just because somebody told a joke and somebody was offended, they don't have a right to go to the federal government and have a policeman come in and put penalties on those individuals. I mean, they have to say, well, maybe this is not a very good environment, and they have the right to work there or not work there. But if sexual harassment involves violence, as libertarians, we are very opposed to any violence. So if there's any violence involved, you still don't need a federal law against harassment. You just need to call a policeman and say there's been an assault or there's been an attempt at rape or something. So you have to separate those two out. But because people are insulted by, rude behavior, I don't think we should make a federal case out of it. I don't think we need federal laws to deal with that, and people should deal with that at home.
Congressman, you have a very ambitious agenda as what you would do as president. You say you could cut $1 trillion in spending in the first year. You say you would shut down 5 cabinet-level departments. But I want to look at your record of effectiveness as a member of Congress for more than 20 years. The Washington Post found that you have sponsored 620 measures over your years in Congress. Just 4 made it to the House floor for a vote, and only one of those 620 measures, only one was signed into law to sell the Galveston Custom House to a historical society. With that record, why are you suddenly going to become so effective as a president?
Well, you just made my point, and more of the American people, they're sick and tired of Washington, and the people who have been in charge have been passing all those bills, and I've been voting no all the time and vote against no all these appropriation bills. So I am the individual that has pointed this out, and now the people are saying the government doesn't work, the debt is too big, and it doesn't work. But the country has to change. To elect me, the country has to change. They have to go back to believing in the Constitution and personal liberties and a different foreign policy, which means the Congress will change. But just the fact that you can elect a president like myself, the pressure then is on the current Congress, because Congress, don't have strong beliefs, and as long as the pressure from the people are in the right direction, and this is where our campaign is excelling, whether it's the Tea Party movement or the disgust among American people, they're sick and tired of all this, so I represent that. So of course, why would they pass my laws? I wanted to stop this a long time ago. That's what I went to Washington for. But the tide has changed. Now the opportunity is there, and now I'm a serious contender. So this is why there's such optimism in our camp and so much excitement.
Congressman, we have about less than 30 seconds left. I want to ask you one final question. You and Congresswoman Bachmann is about to be on, got into quite a flap this week when her state chair, State Senator Kent Sorensen, jumped ship from her campaign to your campaign. She alleges that he said that your campaign was paying him to jump ship. Simple question. Did your campaign or anyone connected with your campaign or anyone speaking on behalf of it or any third-party vendor, did any of them offer money to Kent Sorensen to come on board your campaign?
No, and if she has the evidence, she should bring it forth, because if she makes charges like that, she should be able to defend it. But no, that did not happen.
Well, she's going to get an opportunity right now. Congressman Paul, we want to thank you so much for talking with us today. Happy New Year again. We'll see you back here in Iowa tomorrow. Thank you, sir.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
right, Dirk. Thank you very much. This is the UFO news for today, starting off the new year. All right, let's see here. First story is going to come to us from the Examiner. Now, there were a lot of UFO sightings over the course of the New Year's weekend. This first one here, UFO or flying humanoid seen in China. Alien object recorded above hotel. On January 1st, 2012, a man named Ling Zhu-ying was staying in a hotel room in the city of Beijing, China, when he spotted a UFO from his window. This incredible unidentified flying object was not your typical UFO. It appeared to be an alien or humanoid figure drifting slowly and calmly through the air above the tall building. The witness grabbed his camera and recorded the UFO after noticing something peculiar. Peculiar indeed. The New Year's Day video shows what appears to be a human-like figure clad in some sort of strange yellow jumpsuit. It is fortunate that Li Zhu-ying was able to capture the object on the camera because he reported that he was unable to spot it through the viewfinder of his camera. Alright, let's see. He described it like a huge man floating through the sky. We're about to find out ourselves right here. There's the video in question, and what have we got? Okay, this is the city of Beijing. And we're going to zip forward here to the moment where we actually see the floating in the sky. Nothing quite yet. Still looking, not seeing it yet. Alright, where are we at here? Alright, still looking. Let's see. Am I missing something here? Oh, is that it right there? No, that's the corner of the building. There we go. There's the object, just something floating outside, quite interesting. It's towards the end of the clip. So if you're watching the clip, you're going to have to fast forward it to the ending. There you go. Okay, that's the first one. Now, there was a bunch of other UFO sightings that took place on New Year's Eve. Here's a number of them. First, this one here comes from Bangkok, Thailand. It says a lot of them could be, here are some UFO videos recorded on December 31st and Sunday the 1st. A lot of them could be fireworks or Chinese lanterns. Don't click to read more in the videos. Okay, this is from Bangkok. And let's see where the objects in question are. There we go, right up here. Now you can see these are much, much higher than the fireworks are going. A lot higher than the fireworks. Alright. That's in Bangkok. Here we have in Baltimore, Maryland, some that took place. Alright, are these the objects in question here? There we go. Alright. Yeah, look, there's multiple of them now coming together. Oh, look at that. Look how they're all moving together. Alright. It's over Baltimore, Maryland. And then this one here is Spain. Alright. There we go. We got the object. Right. Round object just floating above the sky there. Okay. I got a couple of them actually. One off to the right here and then this one here. So there's two. Interesting indeed. Alright. And this one is from Taiwan. Okay. Yep, nothing there. Okay. This is Romania. You see the object right up there in the sky? Actually, we got 2, 3 objects, 4 objects, it looks like. Okay, and we have Italy. Okay, we got a couple in the sky there above Italy. Okay, Puerto Rico. Got a triangle over the skies in Puerto Rico. Alright, and over Florida. Couple over Florida. Alright, and here's London. A lot of UFO sightings on New Year's Eve. There we go. Sighting over London. This is over Melbourne. You can see again the white light in the middle of the sky there. Okay. There it is right there. Over Melbourne, and we got over Budapest, Hungary. There we go. Way, way up there. Alright, so you can see lots of UFO sightings taking place on New Year's Eve. We got a couple more yet. This one was over Sweden. This was a couple hours before New Year's Eve in Sweden. Okay, there we go. We got the single light. They're all kind of similar, just a light in the sky, or a couple lights in the sky. Okay, seems to have faded out. There it is again. Those are fireworks. Now you can definitely tell the difference between the fireworks, and they do look different. Alright. And our next one comes to us from Sherman Oaks. Alright, it says this was corner of Alot and Chandler in Sherman Oaks. This is what was seen there, zoomed in view. Okay. And we have one more story here. This comes to us from news.zhonet.com. The link's up on our page. Surge in UFO sightings, a sign of 2012 hysteria, New Zealand meteorologists. Alright, Chinese lanterns are life from a distant planet. New Zealand meteorologists said Monday they are opting for the former and other mundane explanations after being inundated with reports of UFOs since the start of the new year. Weatherwatch.co.nz says it normally received a handful of eyewitness reports and meteors and lights in the sky, with about 10 reports on a busy day. However, since Sunday, the reports of floating orbs and UFOs have been floating in from around the world at a rate of about 10 an hour. Weatherwatch.co.nz weather analyst Philip Duncan said the reports ranged from normal meteor sightings to strange and unusual. Many people around the world have been outside celebrating the new year, said Duncan in a statement. In the U.S., where most of the sightings came from, conditions were fairly mild and dry in many areas, so more people were outside to see things. Finally, it's 2012, the year the world is supposed to end according to the Mayans. That's not correct. And it may seem many are already worrying. Alright, so there you have it. I threw in that's not correct because the Mayans aren't talking about the end of the world. That's the misinterpretations. The Mayans talked about the end of time. I'm sure you're going to hear all year long people saying the Mayan calendar says it's the end of the world. No, the Mayan calendar does not say it's the end of the world. They talked about the end of time. Think about time as a wristwatch. You know, time, a different sort of time that we'll be adjusting to. That's what it is about. It's not about the end of the world. Now, I had a UFO sighting as well in Los Angeles, California. I was out in the backyard. It wasn't quite midnight. It was probably about 7, 8 o'clock. A friend, hollered to come out to the back. We went out into the back, and all I saw at that point was a red object blinking in the sky that just sat there floating. Prior to that, my friend had seen it moving in somewhat of a erratic zigzag pattern, and then it just stopped, and that's where I had seen it. It was stopped, it was blinking red, and then it faded away. It was not an airplane, it was not a helicopter, there was no sound associated with it. It just hung there, blinking red. So if anybody else is out in the Southern California area, in the valley, let me know if you saw anything too. And you saw there were sightings all around the world. So this could be an interesting year, my friends. This could be an interesting year indeed. All right, that's our UFO news. Going to jump away for a song. I'll be back. Hold tight.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right, I'm back. So first thing I'm going to play is a clip. I've played this before, and I'm playing this because I think it has some merit. Now, this clip has made its way around the internet a number of times, and there are those who are saying it's absolutely incorrect, and there are those who are saying it is correct. What this is the title of it is called "Did Jesus Reveal the Name of the Antichrist?" And this is talking about a passage in the Bible, Luke chapter 10, verse 18, where Jesus says he beheld lightning from the heights. And over the course of this video, it's just a short video, it describes how the Aramaic translation of lightning to the heights is Barak Ubama. Now, we are told that Jesus is someone we should listen to. We are told that the Bible is an important book. And here we have the words of Jesus in the Bible translated into a language that he originally spoke, because Jesus didn't speak English. Therefore, in order to understand what he said, we have to look at the English translation and backtrack to the language that he did speak. I'm going to play this, and then afterwards I'm going to explain why I played it and continue on with it. But listen, all I could say is don't dismiss this story so quickly. Don't dismiss it so quickly just because you don't think or you don't believe. Consider what is going on here, and I'll explain more. Let me get to this story, You'll see what I mean. All right. Here we go.
Did Jesus really reveal the name of the Antichrist? I will report the facts. You can decide. In Luke chapter 10, verse 18, Jesus said these words, "And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning falling from the heavens." These words are written in Greek and translated to English. However, Jesus spoke these words originally in Aramaic, which is the most ancient form of Hebrew. As you know, the Old Testament was written in Hebrew. If a modern Jewish rabbi were to speak these words of Jesus today, he would speak them in Hebrew, much the same way that Jesus would have spoken them. So in Hebrew, Jesus said that he saw Satan falling as lightning from the heights or from the heavens. So what are the words for lightning and heights or heavens in Hebrew? From the Strong's Hebrew Dictionary, word number 1299, a primitive root word meaning to lighten or lightning or to cast forth, the word is barak. In the Strong's Hebrew Dictionary, word number 1300, lightning, or by analogy, a gleam, a flashing sword, or a brightness or a glittering, the Hebrew word is barak. So lightning, or a flash of light, in Hebrew is pronounced barak or barak. Now consider this amazing fact. The book of Isaiah is the source of origin for the Christian concept and understanding of Satan, or Lucifer, as Isaiah calls him, in chapter 14, especially in verses 12 through 19. In Isaiah chapter 14, verse 14, Lucifer, or Satan, is credited with these words, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." In the verses of Isaiah that refer directly to Lucifer, several times it is mentioned that Satan has fallen from the heights, or from the heavens. The Hebrew word used in this text for the heights from which Satan fell is Strong's Hebrew word 1116, pronounced Bama. Bama is most commonly used to refer to a high sacred place, as well as to the heights of the heavens or the clouds. In Hebrew, the letter wa is often transliterated as a u. Some scholars use the o for this transliteration. It is primarily used as a conjunction to join concepts together. So to join in Hebrew poetry the concept of lightning, or barak, and a high place like heaven or the heights of heaven, the letter u, or sometimes o, the Hebrew letter wa, would be used. So, barak o bama, or barak u bama, in Hebrew poetry, similar to the style written in Isaiah, would translate literally as lightning and the heights or the heavens, or lightning from the heights of the skies or the heavens. The word Satan is Satan in Hebrew, a direct translation. So back to Jesus' prophecy in Luke chapter 10, verse 18. If spoken by a Jewish rabbi today, influenced by the poetry of Isaiah, he would say these words in Hebrew, the words of Jesus in Luke chapter 10, verse 18 as, "And I saw Satan as Barak Ubama." Did Jesus reveal to us the name of the Antichrist? I report, you decide.
Okay. Now, again, he reports, you decide. Now, that's the big question there. Now, many have said, oh, this really isn't about the Antichrist. Obama couldn't possibly be the Antichrist. Again, I say to you, pay attention, because even in the Bible it says God's children will be fooled. You're so willing to disbelieve the things that are put in front of your eyes, and yet here it is. An Antichrist, wouldn't that be somebody who lies? Has Obama been honest? Think about it. He said there are a lot of things he was going to do, but he hasn't been able to do them, so he's not honest. Now, is there just one Antichrist? Probably not. There's probably lots, because we live in a world where there's lots of people who rebel against the ways of God. So it's quite potential that there are a lot of Antichrist. Just so happens that this particular one that was named in the Bible by Jesus, according to the language he spoke, just so happens that this particular one happens to be in the office of the President of the United States at this very time. So let's just see what kind of good deeds, isn't there saying you shall know them by the fruits? You should know them by, what they give off? Well, let's just see what the fruits of Obama are while you were out celebrating. Here we go. While you were out celebrating, Obama rings in the new year by signing a bill allowing indefinite detention of Americans. Does that sound very Christ-like? Or does that sound anti-Christ-like? Obama signed a bill for you Americans to be indefinitely detained. And then he lied about what he was doing. Let's check this out. Obama signed the NDAA, including a provision allowing the indefinite detention of Americans. He signed this on New Year's Eve. Obama issued a signing statement with the bill, which at first blush appears to say he won't indefinitely detain Americans. Specifically, Obama wrote, "My administration will not authorize the indefinite military detention without trial of American citizens. Indeed, I believe doing so would break with our most important traditions and values as a nation." But a closer reading shows that the signing statement is just smoke and mirrors. Specifically, it was Obama, not Congress, who originally requested that an exception for American citizens be removed from the bill. As such, he professed reluctance to the whole is wholly disingenuous. Moreover, Obama signed a bill which would allow future presidents to indefinitely detain U.S. citizens, and his signing statement in no way limits their power to run roughshod over our rights. So, according to this, Obama was one who originally requested this exception, and now he's saying that, he's not going to allow it. Pretty slick, don't you think? You still think he doesn't have Antichrist-like qualities to him? He's very deceptive and sly, and guess what? He's fooled many Americans. They have fooled so many Americans with this bill that most people don't even know that this bill exists. Ask your friends and your family members if they know what the National Defense Authorization Act is. They probably don't know. If they're watching the mainstream news, it hasn't been talked about. The National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2012. Guess what? That's now. According to this bill, the United States is a battlefield. That means as of 2012, as of yesterday when we began 2012, potentially now every American citizen is a domestic terrorist, because this is now, for all practical purposes, considered a battlefield here in the United States of America. The ACLU notes that the statutes contain a sweeping worldwide indefinite detention provision. Well, President Obama issued a sign-in statement saying he had serious reservations about the provisions. The statement only applies to how his administration would use the authorities granted by the NDAA and would not affect how the law is interpreted by subsequent administrations. The White House had threatened to veto an earlier version of the NDAA, but reversed course shortly before Congress voted on the final bill. President Obama's action today is a blight on the legacy, because he will forever be known as the president who signed indefinite detention without charge or trial into law, says Anthony D. Romero, ACLU Executive Director. The statute is particularly dangerous because no temporary or geographic limitations and can be used by this and future presidents to militarily detain people captured far from any battlefield. The ACLU will fight worldwide detention authority wherever we can, be it in court, Congress, or internationally. Now there's more to the article, but just goes to show Obama portrays the qualities that others are saying couldn't possibly have. Oh no, the words and the interpretation of Jesus as Obama the Antichrist couldn't possibly be right. Really? Well, he signed an indefinite detention bill while you were out partying and getting ready for 2012. He was signing your rights away. That doesn't sound like a very good thing to me. Now here in further news, this continues on. Myth busted. Yes, NDAA does apply to Americans, and here's the text that says so. In the aftermath of the signing, this is from Mike Adams, National News, coming to us at InfoWars. In the aftermath of the signing of the NDAA by the traitorous President Obama, some citizens remain completely hoodwinked by the language of the bill, running around the internet screaming that the law does not apply to American citizens. This is naturally part of the side effect of having such a dumbed-down education system where people can't even parse the English language anymore. If you read the bill and understand what it says, it clearly offers absolutely no protection of U.S. citizens. In fact, it affirms that Americans are subject to indefinite detention under existing authorities. Let's parse it intelligently, shall we? First of all, the offending section of the bill that used to be called 1031 was moved to 1021. Here is the title. Section 1021. Affirmation of authority of the armed forces of the United States to detain covered persons pursuant to the authorization for use of military force. D. Construction. Nothing in this section is intended to limit or expand the authority of the President or the scope of the authorization for the use of military force. By parsing the language here, we must split it into two sentences based on the or operator. The statement essentially means nothing in this section is intended to limit the authority of the President or the scope or the authorization or the use of military force. Nothing in the section is intended to expand the authority of the President or the scope or the authorization of the use of military force. In other words, this section places no limits whatsoever on the authority, nothing in this section shall be construed to affect existing, let me backtrack. In other words, the section places no limits whatsoever on the authority of the President to use military force against American citizens. Keep that in mind as you read the next section. E. Authorities. Nothing in this section shall be construed to affect existing law or authorities relating to the detention of American citizens, lawful residents of the United States, or any other persons who are captured or arrested in the United States. The section E is the section that the hoodwinked people on the internet are running around saying protects American citizens from the NDAA. But where do they dream up such language? If you read section E again, you'll discover that it says nothing whatsoever about protecting American citizens from the NDAA. Instead, here's what it really says when parsed into two sentences based on the or operator. Nothing in this section shall be construed to affect existing law relating to the detention of United States citizens, lawful residents of the United States, or any other persons who are captured or arrested in the United States. Nothing in this section shall be construed to affect existing authorities relating to the detention of United States citizens, lawful residents of the United States, or any others. In other words, section E only says it does not alter existing authorities relating to the detention of U.S. citizens. So to answer the question about whether this affects U.S. citizens, you have to understand existing authorities. What are those existing authorities? Well, existing authorities already allow indefinite detention and the killing of American citizens. As everyone who studies history well knows, the Patriot Act already establishes an existing authority that anyone suspected of being involved in terrorist-related activities can be arrested and detained without trial. If you don't believe me, just Google it yourself. This is not a debated issue. It's just widely recognized. Furthermore, our President Obama already insists that he has the authority to kill American citizens merely by decree. As Reuters reported on October 5, 2011, a secret panel of government officials who report to the President can decide to place an American citizen on a kill list and then murder that person without trial, without due process, and without even being arrested. So there you have it. That's what our non-Antichrist president did. He went and signed a bill to indefinitely detain any Americans who are charged or not charged with a crime. Maybe you should think twice about how Obama fits into the role of an Antichrist. Just think twice. Just put away all of your disbelief and your skepticism and just consider the possibilities. It came from a book, the Bible, that you've been told is an important book, and it came out of the words of Jesus, who you've been told is a very important person who has been on this planet. We should listen to what he says. Now, we know Jesus was more than just a person. He was God's Son, which even gives it more weight. So we need to consider the importance of his words and not throw them away. Remember, even God's children will be fooled. God's children are being fooled every day, and bills like this are part of the problem that continue to fool them. It's time to wake up, because this is real. It's 2012, and this bill goes into effect the fiscal year 2012. Guess what? That's now. Moving right along. We're going to jump over now to Ron Paul, finish things up here. Congress proves Ron Paul right in foreign policy. This is from Greg Bowles at Infowars.com. Ron Paul has placed American foreign policy front and center in the presidential election. Should we even be considering an alternative to our current policies? Definitely not. We're told by all of the other candidates for president, both Democrat and Republican. While they were consistently wrong about the prospects for success in both Iraq and Afghanistan, most voters are still listening to them. Most voters don't yet know that Paul emphatically predicted failure in detail on both fronts, while also warning about the inflating housing bubbles and its inevitable consequences. When voters learn someone is running who actually predicted the establishment's giant messes, more eyes will turn to Paul. Presently, voters are being browbeaten into thinking that Paul's foreign policy prescriptions are dangerous. Yet in spite of the constant barrage of negative sentiment from the media and GOP minions, Dr. Paul is seeking every opportunity to discuss foreign policy with voters. He knows that voters need more than a soundbite to challenge thinking that's been entrenched for decades. His work is aided by a series of congressional actions, a pattern which provides inescapable proof of catastrophic foreign policy failure. So, he's got a really good foreign policy. It just, the establishment, the powers that be want you to believe that this foreign policy is flawed because it is a foreign policy that talks about peace. The administration we have is not a peaceful administration. The past president, if you remember, called himself a war president. He's got war on his mind. Now you have another president who we are told in one sense is the Antichrist, and we are seeing bills being put in place, and we are seeing that he is continuing to do the warmongering. None of them want to go with Ron Paul because Ron Paul wants peace. They want war. Now, just to show you here again, Politico botches poll results to downgrade Ron Paul. Now they're all in on the scam here. This is from Paul Joseph Watson. The establishment media is so desperate to sink Ron Paul's presidential campaign, they're brazenly misreporting the results of polls, making it appear as if the congressman is performing worse than his rivals, when the opposite is true. The latest example comes out of Politico, an establishment mouthpiece which routinely defends the D.C. status quo. Reacting to the results of the final Des Moines Register opinion poll, Politico hastily sent out a breaking news email alert claiming the outcome showed Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum climbing to second place at 21% and Ron Paul in third with 18%. In reality, Paul took second place with 22%, with Santorum a fairly distant third with 15% of the vote. Politico then sent out a revised email shortly afterwards which read, "This breaking news alert corrects a previous breaking news alert." The Daily Caller attempted to contact Politico seeking an explanation as to why the error was made, but their calls were not returned. Of course, these botched numbers will likely be explained away as an accident, but isn't it funny how these accidents routinely serve to denigrate Ron Paul? Folks, how many accidents are you going to allow? How many of them are you going to continue to give an excuse for? These kind of accidents happen over and over and over again. How many times are the mainstream media program going to be turned on? How many times are people going to watch Fox and they're going to hear them talk about how they're not part of the mainstream media and how that they are an honest media station that is fair and balanced, and believe it? How many people are going to believe that? A lot, unfortunately. But you know what? A lot of people are turning away from these news sources because they understand they're lying to them. The fact that the polls are, Ron Paul is surging in the polls, means that people aren't paying attention to what the lamestream media is talking about, because the lamestream media really doesn't care. But little by little, the people the real people that work at the media that are lying, slowly their eyes are being opened when they realize that their lies are actually hurting others. Slowly they're realizing that they've been lied to and they've been spreading these lies. It's not happening in great frequency yet, but little by little you can see in the eyes of these commentators as they're reading the stories that they don't like what they're hearing or that they don't agree with what they're reading. Little by little you can see it. I guarantee you will be seeing it more. They're trying to come down on those who are spreading the truth. Ron Paul is spreading the truth. Henceforth, they're trying to come down on Ron Paul. And the last thing before we do our meditation for today, this is Ron Paul on Iowa caucus, spending cuts and opponents. This is one last clip we're going to play in him for today. Here we go.
Republican presidential candidate Ron Paul is leading the race in Iowa. Our Washington editor Al Hunt sat down with a Texas congressman in Sioux City, Iowa. The controversial candidate shared his views on guilt by association and other topics.
You know, I'm a strict constitutionalist. I want to balance the budget. I want to cut spending. I don't want to go to war unless we declare the wars. I want to protect civil liberties. And I figure, what's dangerous about that? You know, that seems strange that that's dangerous to obey the Constitution and always vote against big spending and big government. Sounds like conservatives should agree with me on that.
You've been at this now for a while. You know, understand politics. You're actually taking a couple of days off this weekend, which is almost never done before the Iowa caucuses. You've said you're doing well in Iowa. Everybody accepts that. Candidly, do you expect to win on Tuesday?
You know, I really don't know.
What do you think?
Well, I'm going to come in, I think, first or second, but, you know, I just don't ever make those kind of bold predictions,
Right.
say, oh, I'm going to win, because I really don't know. But if I did come in fifth or sixth, you know, that would be a real shocker.
Well,
so I'm going to do well, but to predict, I just don't know.
Okay, let's say if you should come in first. All Republican candidates are for cutting spending, they're for reducing taxes, they're for eliminating Obamacare. What message would a Paul victory send?
Well, then I'm serious, because
Right.
they haven't proposed any cuts. Nobody in Washington, Republicans or Democrats, or the other candidate, there's no serious cuts. They're only talking about token cuts on proposed increases, you know, 10 years out, because they all accept baseline budgeting. I want actually cuts. I want to cut $1
So
trillion.
you think the message would be that the others are too tepid?
Well, that the people saw through it, that,
Right.
they were part of the status quo, and they didn't offer anything differently. Foreign policy would be the same, the Federal Reserve policy would be the same, spending policies would be the same, deficits don't matter, it would be all the same thing.
And that's true of the other six candidates.
Oh, I think so. I don't
Yeah.
see any actual cuts.
One of your rivals, Newt Gingrich, in criticizing you, said your views were offensive to every, quote, decent, end quote, American. He couldn't support you if you were the nominee. Could you support him if he were the nominee?
Oh, I'd probably have trouble because I've sort of been asked that question, and I would say I'd have to see how the candidate comes around to accepting his views. If the policies of the Republican Party are same as the Democrat Party, and they don't want to change anything on foreign policy, they don't want to cut anything, they don't want to audit the Fed and find out about monetary policy, they don't want to have actual, you know, change in government, that is a problem
But
for
you'd
me.
have trouble supporting Gingrich. Does it offend you when he says that the decent Americans?
You know, I guess after you've been in this business for a while, you know, you don't have time to be offended.
For more of Al's interview with Congressman Ron Paul, tune into Political Capital tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Bloomberg Television.
Okay, so there you have it. There you have it. So here's what I got to share with you. Here's what I want to say. You know, we've entered a new year, 2012. There's been a lot of talk about this year for a long, long time. A lot of anticipation of what may be going on this year, some of which may, some of which may not. But certainly those in positions of authority, they understand that there is a lot of tension going on around this issue. And they are going to play on you over and over and over all year. So psychologically, you need to get your head together to understand the psychological tactics that they're going to be playing on you. Remember, there's a lot of pieces in place. Project Bluebeam is a project that they want to simulate an alien invasion. And the first thing that they do is they lead up and they build up all of this fear, and with 2012 here and all the the ways in which we are hearing about UFOs and the reports and the stories, you can bet that they're going to find some way to play off of this. Okay? I'm just saying, I don't know what their next move is going to be. I'm just saying, pay attention. There's a lot of pieces in place, from the National Defense Authorization Act to the troops coming home, to the National Guard being more involved with the government, to state governors preparing for Obama and his rogue military, on and on and on. There's all sorts of issues. Pieces are in place where something is going to happen. Whether it's going to be a positive thing or not, well, we're yet to see. But right now, the one thing that you can certainly see with this race that's going on, the candidates, is there's a divide. You have one candidate who is standing up for the Constitution, and the rest who really don't seem to care about the Constitution. Now, it's kind of strange that we would have only one candidate that wants to really see the Constitution kept in place, because that's what this country was founded about, on those principles. We've drifted so far away that really only one candidate actually and regularly talks about the Constitution and the rest don't. The rest act like it's a piece of paper that needs to be revised. Have we really come that far, folks? Or is it that there are those in Washington that have gone that far overboard and they're trying to mislead you? That's more of the case, my friends. We need to pay attention to the Constitution. We need to pay attention to those who are willing to defend it. And if they declare martial law, you better hope and pray that those in the military, your brothers and your sisters and your husbands and wives and your friends, you better hope and pray that they honor their oaths and protect and defend the Constitution against the domestic terrorists in Washington that are trying to get them to turn their guns on the American people. You better hope and pray that they protect and they defend their oaths. You better hope so, friends, because that might be the last line of protection people have. When the military get out into the streets, you're not going to like it if they turn their guns on you, and they're probably not going to like turning their guns on you. So there's going to have to be a lot of thought about what they're going to do. And if martial law is declared, the military is going to override what the police is doing, or they're going to be working together with them. One of the two, the police are going to lose their power. So police forces across the United States, you've just become less powerful than you were last year, 2 days ago, because of this bill. And it's going to continue to be that way. So you better find out which side you're on, and you better pay attention to what's happening, because you guys are going to be phased out, and you're not going to know what's going to happen, other than you're going to be on the street without any form of income, and you're going to really be hurting then. So you guys need to pay attention as well and take care of yourself, because the government's not doing it. They're pitting individuals in this country against each other. Remember, we're all on this together. We're all on the same team. We're all Americans, and we're supposed to defend and protect the Constitution that was set forth in this land. And those who are in the administration right now are dismantling the Constitution. It's our duty to step up and protect that document. It's our duty to step up. And anybody who's not willing to step up, you need to consider why you are so afraid, and you need to find a way to get rid of that fear, and you need to find a way to step up. That's all I could say. This is a time and a year to pay attention and step up now. Quit being so afraid. Gather your strength. This is time for you now to shine as a warrior for justice. All right. Move ahead now into our final bit, our meditation for today. Close things out. All right, here we go. All right, I'd like you to close your eyes and relax. All right, we're going to start off at the beginning of a path, right smack dab at the beginning, and you look straight ahead, and you see down, far, far away at the other end of the path is the end. And you know it's going to take you a long time to get from here to there. So you begin your journey. You begin the journey one step at a time. One step at a time. And as you take one step at a time along the path of life, as you begin your journey, make sure all of your chakras are activated, starting with the chakra at the bottom of your spine. Imagine the color red drawing the energy from the earth, and allow that energy to raise upward to the second chakra, and that color is orange. And from the second chakra, raise the energy up higher to the chakra above it, which is just below the rib cage, and there the color is yellow. And from there, raise the energy up higher to the heart chakra, right in the middle of the chest, and imagine the color green. Raise the energy up higher to the throat, imagine the color blue. And from the blue throat chakra, raise the energy up to the third eye, right between the two eyebrows. Imagine the color violet, and finally to the top of your head, indigo, and connecting up in the cosmos. Bright white light. Be aware of how you are connected energetically to all that is. Feel the connection you have to the earth and your connection to the cosmos. Feel what it's like for all of your chakras to be activated. And just continue walking along the path, contemplating any of the goals or resolutions or plans you set in motion for this year. And from our heart chakra, let's send out love all around the world. And let's send wishes for a great year to each and every one walking the path of life. And as we do, let's bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. All right, there you have it. It's our prayer, our show, our meditation. That gets us started for 2012. It's going to be an interesting year. Pay attention. Pay attention. That is the phrase for the year, to pay attention, because there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of individuals who are going to try to psychologically play off of what you know and don't know over the course of this year. This is a year of a galactic graduation, 2012. It's not the end of the world. It's the end of a time. It's the end of a phase. It's a time for us to grow. I've got a book I wrote on the subject. It's called The Simplicity of 2012. It's available. The link is right up on our page at First Contact Radio. It's on the left-hand side. You'll see the cover of the book. Just click in there. It'll take you right where you can get that. Anyway, that's our show. That's our prayer. It's our meditation. Be safe, my friends. Have a great year. Have a great year. It's going to be a lot to experience, so let's go have some fun, and let's see what we're going to make this. Remember, galactic graduation straight ahead. I'll be back tomorrow. Peace. I'm out of here.